Mummies wrapped in linen and enigmatic pyramids aren't the only strange aspects of ancient Egypt. There's so much more to this strange civilization than what meets the eye. In this video, we'll uncover 10 of the quirkiest habits that the ancient Egyptians had. Mummification is the most intriguing aspect of ancient Egyptians' burial practices. It was an elaborate process involving wrapping bodies with over 1.5 kilometers of cloth. It is important to note that this ritual was not accessible to all individuals in Egypt. Rather, it was reserved for the wealthy elite. The practice showcased their beliefs in the afterlife and the preservation of the body. However, it was not as simple as it sounds. In this intricate process, the ancient Egyptians performed a remarkable act. They used to remove all organs from the deceased body except for the heart. But why is that? The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul and mind of a human was located inside the heart, and that all thought originated from it. During the mummification process, the brain of the deceased was moved out through the nostrils, but the heart, considered the center of wisdom, emotion, and morality, was left intact. You must have heard that ancient Egyptians worshipped animals. They kept several animals as pets, including baboons. However, baboons were more than just pets, they helped catch and apprehend criminals. Egyptian authorities utilized baboons on leashes and trained them as police animals. Hieroglyphics and artworks from the 5th dynasty depict baboons capturing thieves and other wrongdoers. They were shown biting offenders or holding them by the leg. And that's not all. These intelligent creatures were also trained for tasks like fruit collection, brewing beer, and even dancing. Their owners loved them so much that some mummies were found with tattoos of baboons. Baboons were not the only animals valued by the ancient Egyptians. Cats held a special place in their culture, society, and even their religious beliefs. Cats were kept as beloved pets in households, and their presence added a sense of comfort and companionship to the lives of ancient Egyptians. The bond was so profound that upon a cat's death, family members shaved off their eyebrows and mourned until they grew back. Cats were also closely associated with Bastet, the goddess of home, fertility, and childbirth. Cats were considered to embody the characteristics of this goddess and were revered as her earthly manifestations. Moreover, cats were frequently depicted in ancient Egyptian art and sculpture. Paintings, sculptures, and even jewelry featured images of cats. Cats were often mummified and buried with elaborate rituals and ceremonies. Many cat cemeteries have been discovered, attesting to ancient Egyptians' reverence for these animals. Have you ever wondered about the origin of the modern tattooing culture? You'd be surprised to know that tattoos first became popular in ancient Egypt as a form of body art. Moreover, ancient Egyptians adorned their bodies with tattoos to communicate their social status, showcase symbols of power, and express religious views. Although they were popular among both genders, women are said to have them more often than men. Images of women with tattoos in the form of dots and swirls on their lower chest, abdomen, and thighs have emerged. The strategic positioning of these markings indicates protection and blessings from the gods during pregnancy. Moreover, women of high status tattooed intricate designs on their bodies. The designs represented and paid homage to different deities. The pigments used for tattoos in ancient Egypt were derived from natural sources like plants and minerals. The tattoos were likely created using methods such as puncturing the skin and rubbing the pigment in, similar to some traditional tattoo techniques still in use today. After the tattoo was completed, the skin was treated with a blend of herbs and oils to reduce the risk of infection. This meticulous aftercare suggests the spiritual and cultural value attached to this art form. A video about ancient Egyptian quirks can't be completed without the mention of their beloved beverage, beer. We might think of beer as a casual refreshment today, but it was so much more for the ancient Egyptians. In ancient Egypt, beer was treated principally as a type of food. It had cultural and even spiritual significance. Beer was consumed daily and in great quantity at religious festivals and celebrations. The ancient Egyptians brewed their beer using barley, which was soaked, fermented, and then strained. The resulting liquid was thicker and more nutritious than what we're used to today. And this is where it gets more interesting. The ancient Egyptians used beer as a currency. Yes, you heard that right. Beer wasn't just a beverage, it was a trading commodity and a mode of payment. The laborers who built the monumental pyramids were often paid in beer rations. For instance, the laborers who built the pyramids of Giza were provided with a daily ration of 1 1/3 gallons, over 10 pints. Beer also had divine status, associated with several gods and goddesses. Hathor, the goddess of love, dance, and beauty, was also known as the Lady of Drunkenness. The beauty and hygiene rituals of ancient Egyptians were anything but ordinary. Among the most iconic practices was the use of kohl, the characteristic dark eye makeup adorned by both men and women. But kohl wasn't just about aesthetics, it served a dual purpose. Kohl shielded their eyes from the sun's harsh rays and acted as a defense against potential eye infections. Moreover, during the time of the Middle Kingdom, around 4,000 years ago, wealthy Egyptian women exfoliated their skin, wore hydrating face masks, and even waxed with a mix of honey and sugar. And that's not all. Egyptian women also bathed in sour milk, mostly donkey milk, to brighten their skin. It is fascinating to know that beauty was as much a part of people's routine thousands of years ago as it is today. When it came to hygiene, the ancient Egyptians were ahead of their time. Bathing wasn't just about cleanliness, it was a ritual. Those who could afford it indulged in private baths, while others frequented public bathhouses or the Nile River for cleansing. Natron, a natural salt, served as their cleansing agent. Moreover, men and women practiced hair removal using oils and abrasives, believing smooth skin symbolized cleanliness and attractiveness. Dental hygiene was a priority too, as they used frayed twigs as toothbrushes and a mixture of crushed herbs and spices as toothpaste. They used a mix of ground-up bull hooves ashes, burned eggshells, and pumice to maintain fresh breath. They turned these into a powder and applied it to their teeth and gums. They also used a mixture of pepper, iris flowers, and rock salt for cleaning teeth. One thing is clear, ancient Egyptians used natural ingredients to create their own hygienic and beauty practices. Apart from mummification, there is another strange burial practice which the ancient Egyptians performed. In the early days of ancient Egypt, when a pharaoh passed away, their servants were laid to rest alongside them. However, this practice was discarded over time as it was considered barbaric and a waste of resources. Instead, another intriguing custom emerged. Pharaohs began to be buried with numerous miniature servant models called shabtis. Shabtis were viewed as servants who would continue to serve the pharaohs in their afterlife. To ensure their role was effectively fulfilled, these figurines were even crafted to resemble mummies, reflecting their intended journey to the afterlife. Each shabti held a distinctive tool related to their specific occupation. Soldiers, farmers, cooks, brewers, fishermen, and boatmen were among the miniature representations, each equipped with the tools essential for their assigned tasks. This arrangement reflected the ancient Egyptians' belief in continuity and meticulous planning, even in the afterlife. The story of Pharaoh Pepi II and his alleged requirements for servants to be covered in honey is one of the most controversial tales from ancient Egyptian history. According to the story, Pharaoh Pepi II, who ruled during the 6th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, had an aversion to flies. Therefore, he would have young servants smeared with honey and left out in the open to keep flies away from him. The idea was that the flies would be drawn to the sticky honey-coated servants, thus sparing the pharaoh from their annoyance. Ancient Egyptians indulged in extensive childcare practices. One of these intriguing practices involved infants and young children wearing pouches containing mouse bones around their necks. Mice were often associated with fields and crops, symbolizing fertility and abundance. Mice bones were believed to possess curative properties and offer protection against ailments. In ancient Egypt, life was closely intertwined with nature and the supernatural. Therefore, every aspect of their daily life was connected to spiritual beliefs. From unconventional beauty secrets to spiritual practices, it's clear that ancient Egyptians hold their fair share of secrets. What other strange facts have you heard about the ancient Egyptians? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.